Hello and welcome to the Kick in the Creatives podcast, hosted by myself, Sandra Busby, and my fellow creative Tara Roskell, offering you interviews, inspiration, motivation, and a gentle prod in the right direction. And for lots more information, challenges, and other useful tools to help you get creating, you can go to www.kickinthecreatives.com. And of course, this is where you can also find today's show notes. Enjoy the show.
So first of all, we both just want to say Happy New Year. It's great to be back. Now, today's episode is going to be a little bit different. You get to be a fly on the wall on one of our art conversations, one of the ones Sandra and I would normally have off air. Now, it all started when I asked Sandra a question after we'd recorded a podcast. And she said, why not let's record this and see what happens? So we did. And there's no editing on this one either. So get your paints out and join us for some studio art chat. We hope you enjoy the episode.
Tara, you were about to tell me, weren't you? You're saying you've got a bit of a confidence crisis going on. And my instant reaction to that right now is, I've never known you to be so creative as you are at the moment. You're on fire. Your work is getting better and better. Every time you upload a piece of work, I just think, oh, well, that's my new favourite. You're clearly evolving all the time. And you're doing great on social media. And I just think, how can now be the time when you're having a confidence crisis? I just find that really interesting. Because I would have said maybe that would be a dry spell or something might be, make you have a confidence crisis. But you're not having one of those.
No, I feel like my work has gone a little bit backwards. So I was creating the characters that I was really enjoying. Actually, my social media is not going very well at the moment. My social media slumped in the last month or so, I would say. Definitely. And it feels like it's almost slumped since I've started this. It's not really a big change of direction, but since I had this idea for the concept, where I would be putting people's put downs that killed their confidence, I'd be putting that text in my work. Now, at the same time, it was probably stupid because I was going big at the same time.
Yeah.
Which I was finding quite a challenge because I literally went from A3, which if you know what an A4 piece of paper is, or a legal piece of paper in the US, if you put two pieces of paper like that side by side, that is the size I was working at approximately. Now I've gone from that to that basically 4 times as big,
right?
Which is
from
that A3 size, which is quite a jump, and I was finding it quite tricky, obviously because its materials don't necessarily translate that easily, but some of the big ones I like, but when I started introducing text, I just felt, I think I made the mistake of working on paper because I like the idea of being able to roll up my work if anyone bought it and post it, but because it's obviously watercolour paper, it buckles a bit, which is not great. Yes, I could stretch it, but I didn't want to stretch a massive piece of paper.
No.
So to be honest, it could be framed and it would be fine. It's only a slight bit. But I've just felt like I've almost pushed too far, if that makes sense.
I just find it the irony that as you're creating these pieces of paper, these pieces of work with torn up bits of paper, which are things that people have heard that kill their confidence, and it's during you tearing these things up that you're suddenly having your confidence crisis.
Exactly,
which I find so. It's just so ironic. I just find that
it is
really strange. It is a jump and it is hard going up. I remember obviously because I only really work. I would say sort of, say 40 by 50 centimetres or 50 by 60 centimetres, that sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? It's not like I work huge. And that's just the general kind of size I work at. And occasionally I'll go bigger, but it might only be maybe half as big again. But going from going 4 times the size is quite a jump. And I remember when that couple from Massachusetts, they commissioned me to do that big marble painting, and I've told you this before, but when they gave me the original measurements I thought they wanted, I thought they were talking in inches. And of course they weren't. They were talking in centimetres. So
haven't you got that the wrong way around?
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. I thought they were talking in centimetres. They were talking in inches. So obviously when I was sort of thinking, yeah, I'll take this commission on, I hadn't realised it was bloody massive. This thing that they were wanting me to do was much bigger than I'd had in mind. But we'd already invested a lot of time in talking about the colours and the kind of layout and all this stuff. I thought, I'm invested in this now, and so are they. So I just need to do this. I remember kind of chalking out the outlines on. Well, it was going to be on my lino floor in the studio, but I didn't have enough space where I was standing, so I had to go outside and do it. And I said to Paul, "Oh my gosh, look at the size of this thing! It's going to be huge." So I was like, "Oh God, how am I going to do this?" Because, realism painting is, it's quite intricate in places, and of course, I'm suddenly having to do it on a big scale. And you have to change so much but keep the same style, and it's hard. You need to use different tools, bigger tools. And the other thing, I don't know if you do this, Tara, but do you find that, or if you don't find you're doing this is what you should be doing? When I was working big, I had to pretty much have a runway between me and the painting sometimes. I had to keep making sure I step back all the time, because you can't
see how everything relates to each other, can you? Yeah,
No.
I have to do that as well. But I've actually pulled back and gone slightly smaller now, because I've decided it was a step too far do you know what I mean? Too quick. So I've stepped back to twice the size that I was.
That's a good idea.
Before.
How are you finding that?
Yeah, and I'm feeling that's a lot better, but I'm having trouble with the thing you're saying with it's not so much as stepping back, because I am stepping back, and it would be fine if I was planning prior to, but I don't plan, you see. I just get in there and work, and I find that the eyes, although they're abstract, the eyes and the nose position are not always relating very well.
Right.
If that makes sense.
You have to use much bigger arm
It might be
movements. You have to work from your shoulder rather than...
No, it's the distances. It's
Right.
not... It's not that. It's because when I'm close up to it and actually doing the drawing, it's hard to take it all in at once.
Yeah.
With my reference. Then I'm stepping back, but it's kind of too late sometimes. Because just because of the way I work, basically. If I was drawing it in pencil, it'd be fine, because I'd draw it and then I'd step back and think, oh no, it's too far away, rub it out, go in a bit.
But you like having no control, don't you? And I was wondering...
I do, yeah.
I remember you told me, and I don't know who it was, but you told me about somebody who had strapped some pencils to the end of a cane or something like that, and they were doing it that way. I wonder if you've ever... See, if you tried doing that with one of your sponge brushes... I don't know what you call it. I've never used one.
It'd have to be the charcoal, because the charcoal does the drawing. Really.
Okay, so it'd
have to be the charcoal.
Yeah, you could strap.
Yeah,
you could put, I wonder whether that would though alter your style too much, because it would go. Yeah, you would have no control then. No.
So that's one of my problems. So one of my problems was, although I think they look nice on some of them on the photo, I'm not sure. I'd really like someone who knows what they're talking about. If you live locally, I would get you to come round, have a look at the physical piece, and say, what do you think to that? Does it look, what do you think about it? But because I don't know anyone like that who really has a good eye, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Kevin can say, oh, I love that. I mean, he really likes them. But it's someone who knows art. Do you know what I mean? Knows art to a selling level.
Yeah.
So that's it. Anyway, I pulled back this last week or so, and I created one that I really, really liked, but I didn't put the post, the colour, the post-its and stuff. I actually pulled back from the post-its, so I just put words in it, and I preferred it. I don't know if you saw it.
Yeah, I've seen quite a few.
Yeah, I was slightly worried that I'd gone too far.
What, with the post-its?
Yeah, well, I put them on some, but not all of them, because I did.
And by post-its, you're talking about almost you're using those a bit like in a collage element, aren't you?
Yeah, yeah. So I'd put bits of pink. You've seen bits of pink, and they work really well on the small ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, on some of them, I also looked at it and I thought it doesn't need it. It's enough with just the text. So,
because you don't want it to become too busy, do you?
No. But
you can use too many ideas, I think, and you've got so many ideas. You try and put them all into one piece, and it can be a bit chaotic.
Yeah, and I also have this very weird thing going on, which I've always had, and this is a me problem, which is I sometimes start to wonder if things become predictable.
Right.
Which is what people want. Predictable. I know this sounds weird, but artists that do really well are the artists that you'll turn up to their page every day and you know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But for me, sometimes, and it's not even that I'm bored of it, but I think, oh God, they know they're always going to come to my drawing, and there's going to be a face, and it's going to have a hat, and it's going to have those funny, goggly thingies. And I think, does that get a bit boring and predictable?
Well, how do you feel about it? Are you bored with creating them?
I'm not really bored with creating them, but sometimes I just think I need to mix it up a bit more.
I don't think you need to think about... The thing is, I think you're thinking too much. I think you need to just
I am.
Yeah, you are overthinking, because you've got to... There's no point in creating for the viewer. Well, as in only for the viewer, only because you want to paint what people want. There's no point in doing that, because you'll burn out quickly otherwise. You'll start not enjoying it. You need to do what you enjoy and let it pull you in whatever direction you're enjoying, because otherwise if you stop enjoying it, that'll then reflect in your work, won't it? And then
it will.
And then it's going to have an effect on how other people receive it. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, I think there's also that thing, and it shouldn't affect you, but when your social media starts doing worse, and it shouldn't matter.
Don't you think there's ebbs and flows in that, though, isn't there, as well?
There is, and it's not necessarily about how good. It's not necessarily about how good your art is either. It might be how you present the art. It might be, and when I say that, I mean people don't like the way you made the video, or the video just doesn't catch the algorithm, or you don't put it out at the right time. But it is that thing where it shouldn't bother you, but it still does, doesn't it? Because you start then thinking people don't like it.
You should be on my social media. That'll give you a harsh lesson.
Yes, but you see, you've got a reason, you see, because I've been posting pretty religiously, 5 times a week to daily. So if I only posted like you, say like once a week or whatever, then I would get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I do think. Anyway, let's go on to one of your problems, then we'll come back to one of mine. What's your problem?
This is like, what's it called? Those agony aunt.
That's the problem.
Agony art. Okay, well, yeah. Well, I guess TikTok, right? We recorded an episode a little while ago, and we were talking about TikTok, and I said, okay, right, I'm going to challenge myself then to go on TikTok, because you'd said TikTok's really changed. It's become more adult now. And this is very typical of me in that I can't be bothered to sit and learn about something before I try it. I just want to try it. I don't want to sit and have to watch how to use something. So very rarely do I do that.
I'm ultra geek, so I would have watched about 100 videos first.
Yeah, and this is where I definitely go wrong. And so I've gone, okay, right. soon as we stopped recording, I was like, right, I'm gonna go on TikTok. So I went on TikTok and I thought, oh, I guess it's sort of self-explanatory. There's a little plus sign. You put a plus sign, you click on that, and then you upload a video, and it's fairly straightforward-ish. But I must have posted every single day for about, I don't know, well, let's face it was probably only about
Not that long, really.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is terrible. I'm getting absolutely nothing, literally zero traction at all. And I think at the end of the 2 weeks, I thought, do you know what? I'm coming off of this. This is just clearly not going to work for me at all. But then I remembered, I don't know if it was you or whether it was Carmel or somebody, I think it might have been you actually, saying that there were these trends that seem to go on TikTok.
Yeah.
And one of them is where you have to stand with a painting and you have to kind of spin around really slowly and then show it. And apparently and I think it was because, and you tried it, didn't you? And you'd got
I told you it did really well, yeah. Not on
many...
TikTok, it did really well on Instagram.
Yeah, how many views?
Yeah.
How many views?
I got 18,000. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's probably more views than my whole entire Instagram feed has ever got joined up together. It's a crazy amount of views. So I thought, perhaps I'll try that then. Before I just delete the account, I'll have a go. I'll try this. Now, don't get me wrong. Obviously, there's no big numbers going on here. But what I did is I filmed this really crappy video, and actually it was chucking it down with rain in my studio. I didn't have my mic on. I mean, this is how invested I was. Didn't have my mic on. I could barely hear myself speak because my art studio's got it's kind of like got a plastic roof on it, and the rain was so loud in there. It was so loud that it scared the dog, so he'd gone and slept in the office because he didn't like it. So I had that going on, and I just put the thingy up. I thought, okay, I'll try a spin round thing, and I think I said something along the lines of, I'm new to TikTok. I have 11 followers, which at the time I had. I've heard that if I spin round really slowly with a painting, let me just, hang on. Yeah, if I spin round really slowly with a painting, it should gain quite a bit of traction. So it's Sunday. I've got nothing to lose, really. Not a lot of people are going to see this rubbish video, so here goes.
You didn't say that, though, did you?
I didn't quite say that, but pretty much along the lines of, no one's going to see this, so I've got nothing to lose. And what I did is I span round to really slowly until I got to the point where you could actually see the painting, because it was halfway through. It was its skanky teenage stage, and then I kind of whizzed it around really quick. And so I left it like that, and I don't know, I think it was the following morning I woke up and I'd got something like 30 odd followers from that video, and I thought, well, that's ridiculous. I've done videos much better than that. I've put together videos that are much better than that for TikTok. I mean, I say much better. My video making skills, I don't put a lot into them, but I probably, do you know what? I probably would. If I was getting a lot of interest and people reacting and following, I would put a lot more into it. But I suppose because I haven't got to that point,
It's a vicious circle, isn't it?
Yeah, I think, oh, well, what's the point sort of thing, so I don't. But anyway, I thought, well, that's interesting. I've just put out this ridiculously poor quality video, and it seems that just because I'm spinning around slowly with a painting, it gets some views, albeit only sort of 35 or 30 odd likes. It's still got more than any of my other ones have. So I found that really interesting. And then I thought, but what I found really most interesting about that is that when I go through the feed, I was getting really bored of seeing the same old videos all the time of artists spinning around with their paintings. I just thought, why is everyone doing that? I don't get it. I don't get why everyone is doing the same thing. And it seems to be with TikTok that you have to follow these trends. And I'm not sure I like that, because I'm not one who follows trends, really. I do what I want to do. But I don't know, with social media, it's different. You kind of almost have to, don't you? But interestingly, what I was saying earlier about, typical of me, I don't sit and learn anything. I just have a go and then wonder why it doesn't work. And I said to you this morning, didn't I? I said, do you know what? Yesterday, after being on TikTok now for 3 weeks, I decided perhaps I ought to look at a tutorial. and because I was wondering, I was just seeing loads of teenagers dancing in car parks and wondering what on earth, TikTok has not grown up at all. Anyway, I watched a tutorial and thought, there's another thing you can look at where you can discover people that, based on what you watch. And of course, that was just literally this morning and last night. I was like, now I know how to find the artists out there, not just people that are talking about their cats and, what they have for breakfast every morning. So, that might help. It might help get a bit of traction because I can now start following people that are interested in the same stuff. But what do you make of all these trends?
I'm not a big fan. I can see why you have to sort of do it, but it kind of, to me, it's like the whole idea is you're supposed to be showing your creativity.
Yeah.
But then it's like, let's all follow the leader. And it just seems weird, but you kind of have to. I've been using, they do say use a trending sound, but then do something yourself to it, if you know what I mean. Yes. So say there's a trending sound and everybody's doing a silly dance. Instead, you use a trending sound, but you show yourself painting or, something to do with your art life.
So this is the other thing. I haven't got onto the audio bit yet of working out the trending sounds and stuff.
That's supposed to be big. But I've put mine as a business account because I thought that was the way to go. But the only trouble then is they don't give you half as many sounds because not that many are licensed for commercial use, which is a bit of a pain, actually.
Would you think maybe it'd be better just to go back as a creator then rather than a business?
No, I don't think there was an option. I think there was
there is.
Maybe that's new then. When I looked before, it was like business or I can't remember, but there didn't seem to be an option.
Just business or creator. It's in your settings. See how I know this and you don't. I don't know.
No, I'm just wondering if they had that before. When I went on before. So
the other thing I've noticed as well,
although I put a shop on there that I did sign up for a TikTok shop.
Yeah.
And I thought, this is good. I might be able to try and sell my paintings through here. But then it was so tricky because you'd have to say what product you want to put on there, but then you have to put the brand name. And the problem is they're not thinking of it as an independent artist selling their stuff. I'm sure there's a way around it. They're thinking of it as, say I want to sell somebody's makeup, a brand name makeup, and I'm showing how to use it. Or imagine an art product. So say I'm showing how to use, I don't know, Daler Rowney something or other.
Right.
So then I would say, the brand is Daler Rowney. And you had to kind of put that it was a trademarked brand. It was very complicated.
Right.
I gave up.
Yeah, and I thought, I don't know. I mean, the other day I went into paint and I decided I'd just try and make this little video. And do you know what? By the time I'd made this video, uploaded it to TikTok, it was probably about an hour. And I thought, God, I could have done the whole first layer of this bottle I was painting in that time. And I thought, well, where do you, how do you balance all this stuff? It's just, it's crazy. And the other thing I've learned as well, and I don't find this so much, funny enough, on Instagram. And I don't know if it's because maybe Instagram is perhaps an older age group now because the younger ones tend to just focus on TikTok. But what I've noticed is that when I see these artists and I think, this is the type of artwork I love to see, it doesn't matter what kind of artwork it is. They could be painting constable style or completely abstract, but they all wear very limited number of clothes.
Yeah.
They all appear to be, I don't know, 20-something. And they use music, which makes me want to run screaming because I just can't bear it. It's like, oh my God. And it's like really obscene sort of, not that I'm old fashioned, maybe I am, but sort of with really bad language in it and like rap, and I'm thinking I would not want to use this in my videos. I just wouldn't, and it wouldn't suit me as a person, the style of my art, and I don't know if I want to get my boobs out for TikTok for a couple of views. I don't know, or my bum cheeks. Maybe I need to, or maybe it's the other way around. Maybe that will get me even less people looking.
I think
running a mile.
I think less followers. I mean, there's a woman who her art is. I really like her art actually on TikTok. She's called, I can't remember her last name, and her first name is Talia. It's something like TAHLIA or something like that. I'm not totally sure. But she is just a genius, obviously, at marketing. But she looks like she's got this lovely big room that she paints in, or makes it look like that's where she paints. So this beautiful room. She seems to wear dresses.
What, like ball gowns?
No, but just like a nice-ish dress sort of thing.
Right, okay.
She's not mega trendy or anything.
No.
She's not one of these skinny boobs out people. She's just, normal kind of thing. But she's got her dress on and she's painting and she smiles and looks at the camera and then she does a bit of art, and her art's really good.
She sounds like the Nigella of the art studio.
Bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to start making sexy looks at the camera then. Like sideways glances.
I tried pouting at Kevin, but he just laughs. So I don't think I've got it.
It's funny. It does seem to be almost like, because you see, I don't know about you, Tara. Actually, I've never asked you this. Yes, I do. Well, you've told me. I think actually you tend to wear like tracky bottoms, trainers, and an old t-shirt or something, don't you, when you paint? And I wear tracksuit bottoms and an old. In fact, it's an old work jumper of Paul's. Well, it might have been Charlie's. Actually, it's a bit smaller. Because it's filthy. It's covered in oil paint. And it is not sexy at all. I mean, the tracksuit bottoms are those ones that are so old now, they've kneed and they've bummed. And
yeah.
And I'm like, okay. So basically, to make an art video of me painting, I need to wear something a bit nicer. Maybe I need to wear something more, that's clean and nice. But then you're just doing it for the sake of making the video. So I'd have to go in there dressed in something a bit more pleasing to the eye as much as I can for someone who's basically 51, yeah. I almost forgot. Am I 50? Am I 51? And by the time I've done that, then I've got to go back in, get changed so I can actually really paint. It kind of feels a bit fake, and I kind of prefer that being like putting my real self across. But then again, it doesn't seem to be what people want. They want to see all that stuff.
Well, I'll tell you someone who does do it really well, and she doesn't seem to dress up, in my opinion, and that is Rosso, who's on Twitter. I can't remember her last name. What's Rosso's last name?
I don't know, because I'm not on Twitter anymore, really. Well, I am, but I don't use it. Yes,
you'll know her, though. She's on Instagram as well, but she paints the most brilliant portraits.
Right.
She's got a really big following on Instagram, but she appears in not so many of her videos. She appears in a photo. Rosso, let me have a look. Emerald Crimson, her full name is, but I don't know what it is on Insta. But I'm sure if you search that Rosso, you probably find it anyway.
Here we go. It's not only figure. Oh yeah, beautiful.
Oh no, that's her second. No, that's her second account. She's got another one.
Rosso
she's got
artist. Yeah, there's Rosso artist
is that her?
As well. Yeah.
Okay, the other one I think is someone hacked her account, so she went temporarily onto there.
Okay, right.
But she paints the most incredible figures. She makes really good videos. It's not so much she's in the videos, but she'll do some kind of semi-time lapse.
Right.
But I think it looks so impressive. One of the things that's impressive is she works so big.
Yeah.
Which is one of the reasons I wanted to go big. Not because of her, but just because it looks so impressive, doesn't it? A large piece of art. It
does, and it's funny because, when I got those paintings collected by that gallery,
Yeah.
he said to me, what would be really good is if you could start working bigger. He said, because generally speaking, when people buy art, they want to buy a statement. They don't want to buy something small that's going to go on a wall that's going to get lost. And actually, it's something I learned quite early on, which I should have perhaps acted on in a bigger way. But years and years ago, I mean, I'm talking when I very first got interest in my paintings, and it was when I was doing those sort of antique bears, you know, the bears.
Oh,
yeah. So I got some interest from a gallery who wanted to hang them, and I had to meet him at his house around the corner from this gallery. And he said, there's a reason I wanted to meet you here. And he said, I want to show you something. And we were just sitting in his kitchen. And he said to me, right, I'm going to take that clock down off that wall and I'm going to hang this painting, which was not a small painting by any means. It wasn't a big, I would say it was kind of medium size, really. It looked quite big to me when I was standing in front of it on the easel. Anyway, I'd had it framed as well. He took this clock down and he hung the painting on the wall, and I couldn't believe it. It looked lost. It looked tiny. Yeah. And he said, this is just to show you that actually when you're standing in front of a painting, you're painting it, you're seeing it in a very different scale than what it will look when it's on a wall in someone's house. He said, so it's great. It's fine if you're doing a collection of maybe 3. I mean, when I did those wine bottle paintings, in a way, you know, I did one slightly smaller as well. So I did 2 sort of one size and a smaller one. And the reason I've done it like that really is because my time in the art studio is fairly limited. So I like to think that I might actually get a painting done in a reasonable amount of time. If I go too big, it sort of takes forever. But that's one of my things for this coming year, 2023, from January onwards, I'd like to start actually painting on a bigger scale, because the gallery that has just picked up my painting said, you would do better if your paintings were bigger, because people want, if they're going to buy a piece of art, they want it to be a statement. They want people to look at it on their wall and go, oh, you've got an original painting by so-and-so, and it's there, and it's not just, obviously there's a place for smaller work. Of course there is, people that have got smaller places, smaller spaces. Not everyone wants massive art, of course they don't. I'm not talking about going massive here. I'm talking about maybe going a bit like you've gone, maybe 4 times as size. So that's my thing.
What size would
it
be finished? What would, if you told me in inches or centimetres, how big are we talking? Are we talking a metre?
Yeah, I would say a metre one width and maybe 1.5 metres the other, something like that.
Oh God, that is big. That is really big.
I think so.
Well, it's funny, right? Because that's what we've just said, and that's what the gallery owner wanted. And I was listening to, the Art Jews podcast.
Yeah.
I was listening to that the other day, and I think it was an older one, but basically it was about, the title was something like about going big or something like that. And obviously I was listening to it because that's what I was trying to do. And they were saying, everybody feels they should go big, but really big is harder to sell.
Well, it's certainly harder to store.
Yeah, well, they said that as well. It's very much harder to store, but it's also very much harder to sell because, there's going to be far fewer people who have either got the space for a large piece of art, like you just said, like the 1 metre by 1 metre, or the money. I suppose the good thing is the people who've got the money have probably got the larger space. But so in my house, I've got a reasonable sized house, but there aren't that many big. We haven't got high ceilings, so there wouldn't be that many big wall spaces. And you've got maybe a window is on one of the walls, and you've got a fireplace, and it's not high enough above the fireplace. So interesting. So there's very two. So I wonder if maybe the gallery perhaps is the good place to have the bigger pieces, and maybe online is worse for the larger because people are perhaps less inclined to buy big when they haven't seen it. I know you see the other
thing as well is when somebody walks into a gallery, what will appear to be fairly small on a gallery wall
Yeah.
If they bought that and then took it home, they'd be, oh my God, it's massive.
Yeah, that's true.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's this two-way. It depends what space it's hanging. I mean, this is why when I do my Instagram posts, I'm better on Instagram than anywhere else. Although recently it's sort of, I've fallen a bit behind because I've been trying to do TikTok. But
put those in your stories, in your Instagram stories.
Yeah. I because you were saying it's a good idea to share the videos across. See, I did think maybe I need to share my TikToks with the TikTok logo on it to Instagram, so people on Instagram know I'm on TikTok, and then therefore can then follow that as well. I don't know.
Instagram don't like it though.
No, that's the thing, isn't it? So I've been sort of cropping them off, and but it's a bit difficult with TikTok because of where they put the logo. Instagram is easy because they put their logo right at the bottom, so it's easy just to crop that bit off at the bottom. But TikTok is on the side, one side, one half of the video, and then the other side, the other, and you've got to make a really thin video. It just doesn't seem to work.
I just don't shoot it in.
No, I think
don't
that's a
edit
good idea.
in TikTok.
Yeah, that's probably a better idea. I've been learning about CapCut. That's been the one I've been looking at as well recently.
That's one I told you to look at.
Yeah, I haven't tried it yet, but I am going to. But I have watched a video tutorial. Yay me. I have actually done that.
We diverted. We were talking about...
I was going to say about size. So that is why when I do a painting and I post it to my Instagram, it doesn't matter how, and even on my website I do this, it doesn't matter how many times you'd say to somebody, oh, this is 40 centimetres by 50 centimetres. They won't get the scale of it unless you're standing holding it.
Yeah.
So quite often I'll stand and hold a painting, although you have to be a bit careful with that as well, because when you take a photograph of yourself standing there with a painting, unless you hold that fairly close to your body, you can still make it appear to be quite a bit bigger of a painting than what it is if you're holding it out.
Yeah.
That's what I've learned recently. So that's another thing to be careful of. But I kind of think it's a good way of saying this is the scale of my painting, but you've got to stand quite close to it. Yeah. But yeah, I'll be going through the same problem as you though in the Entara next year, because I'll be like, oh God. And even though I have done a big painting before, I remember having to change my technique because it's different. It's hard, isn't it? Because you're trying to maintain a style or your style because you want your own style, but you've got to then use different techniques to get it, which is actually quite tricky.
I finally bitten the bullet. I bought some big oil pastels, but I bought some brands that weren't that expensive to try to see if I liked it. Yeah. But there's just something about them. They're okay, but they seem to leave lines on. They weren't soft enough, I guess. So I've finally bitten the bullet and I've ordered a few Sennelier. The thing with ordering online, which is a real pain in the arse, isn't it? It's like I wanted to try one, because they're about £8 each. Yeah, these oil pastels. So really, what would be an idea was if you're in a shop and you could try a tester. I think, I don't like that. Yes, I do like it. Do you know what I mean? Or just buy one. But of course, you can't. There's no shops around me anywhere that you could buy one of these pastels.
Oh, there is near me.
Oh, is there? It's too late now. But you still have to post it to me. So
that's true.
So in the end, I thought, okay, I'm going to buy some. But of course, you pay postage. So I think, well, if I'm going to buy one, I might as well now buy 3. Or buy did I buy 4? 4 that I knew I would use together in a painting. But they haven't come yet. So I'm quite curious, how they're going to work out.
Yeah, just by basically using the same things but bigger. Yeah. It's a bit like a brush, isn't it? Same thing but bigger.
Yeah, although what I do like about the Neocolor, the wax pastels, is they're not that smudgy. Yeah. Like oil pastels are really smudgy, aren't they?
Yeah, so, I don't like them.
I'm curious what that's going to be like. Yeah.
I don't like using them, I must admit. I'm not. Yeah. The other thing, when you're painting bigger though, is that you not only have to change, the size of your obviously the size of your surface and the size of your brushes or whatever it is, as in your case, your pastels, this sort of thing, you have to change the size of your movements in a way.
Yeah.
You know, you have to really go from the shoulder, and you can't just sort of go from the elbow or the wrist in places. You've got to really, and I found that to be really, that was what I noticed the most. I was like, wow, I'm having to use my whole arm to create this big marble rather than just what I would normally do is, you know, use my elbow or my wrist. It was like, wow, I've got to, this is really going to be a lot different than it's just the movements. You wouldn't think, would you? There was so much to it.
Yeah, there is though, isn't there? And also what I had to do as well, which probably made it so different for me, because I was working flat, because I was working at this A3 size. I was working flat on my desk with my... No, so I've had to move to vertical. So, of course, it's immediately a whole different... I'd stand up actually at my desk previously so I could look over the top. But it's very different working on an easel to what it is working flat as well, which is a whole nother dimension, I guess. It's a whole nother new thing. So probably for me, my big problem is I probably just need to paint 20 of them. Do you know what I mean? 20
and then you'll find it hard to go small again. You'll go, oh no.
Yeah, I'm sure I will.
Yeah. It's really, it's funny, isn't it?
Yeah. Anyway, next dilemma. What's the next one?
Well, going back, not to TikTok, but to social media.
Yeah.
I do want to talk about this because we're talking about followers and this and that and the other. And you mentioned to me, didn't you, that there's this new platform out there called Musero, and that's Musero, if anyone is listening, if we do decide to air this. And it's basically, it's by, is it Faso?
Yeah.
Fine Art Studio Online. So they have created a platform based on all of the problems that go along with having an Instagram account or anything like that. And what it does is it has no algorithm. So what it means is if you post, and it's basically mainly for photographs.
I didn't know that bit. I didn't know the no algorithm bit.
Yeah, there isn't. There isn't. If you look on the, if you say you go on the App Store and you look up Musero, let me see if I can quickly find it now while we're chatting.
I thought was they were going much more towards photographs rather than, you know, because everybody's getting annoyed with Instagram doing the video and trying to go like TikTok.
I don't want to say it if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure they have removed, like, there is no algorithm. Learn more. Oh no. Oh, here we go. Oh no, it doesn't say. Oh, here we go. So easy photo sharing for artists and photographers. Musero is easy photo sharing for artists and photographers. It features a chronological feed and no algorithm. Join a community of humans who care about art and beauty and want to escape the TikTok-like madness of other big social platforms. And I was really, really interested the minute I said there is no algorithm. And what that means is when you post your photograph of your painting online, I think you can post videos as well. But when you post your photograph, what will happen is the next time you go online onto that platform, you'll scroll down and you'll see everyone who has posted after you, and then you'll see yours and everyone who posted before you. But it will not make any difference how many people say for instance you posted a week maybe a day or two before me, and you got 18,000 views on your photograph, and I posted a day later than you and I got 5 views on mine, my one would still be where it will still be above yours because I posted last.
It's newer. Yeah.
And wow, what a breath of fresh air. I mean, obviously this is quite a new platform, and they've done this because there's such an outrage now of how it's basically a popularity contest, isn't it? When you think about it on social media, it seems to be, it's how popular you are, and then that's who gets the most traction. It's nothing about how talented you are.
TikTok isn't, supposedly.
Is it not?
No.
Okay. But that still has an algorithm though, doesn't it?
TikTok has an algorithm, but apparently with TikTok, it doesn't matter. Like, say you've got your 30 followers or whatever, and then there's some person who's got 50,000 followers, and you both put a video out.
Yeah.
It wouldn't give any preference to the one with 50,000
I
followers.
see. Okay. Yeah.
But what would probably happen, they might still do better because they're putting out the content people want, and obviously they've got people who are following them, so if someone's following them, they'll see it anyway. But you could theoretically go on TikTok, put on your first video, and you could go viral and end up with 100,000 followers the next day.
Right
Because it doesn't get what happens is it starts showing it to people. This is what I've heard. It starts showing it to people, and then it sees if people like it or not. If they like it, it then pushes it out to more people.
I love what they say, though, on this Musero when they say escape the madness that is TikTok and other platforms. And it is madness. I mean, quite often, if I'm going to try and catch up with things, because, to be honest, if I wasn't doing art, I might have an Instagram account, but I wouldn't be very active, and I'd be quite quiet about it. Whereas when you're an artist or in any sort of creative field where you need to share, you have to be active online, don't you? You have to interact with other people, which I enjoy doing as well.
I don't suppose you have to, because what you could do is you've now in with a gallery, so theoretically you could just sell all your work through galleries and not.
I could, but just because it's in a gallery doesn't mean to say that it'll sell.
No.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, theoretically, you wouldn't necessarily have to. Although even then, the gallery probably wants you to have a presence, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And also, you've got to remember the amount of people going into a gallery compared to the amount of people going on a social platform is an incredible difference. So, it's a totally different thing, but you have to share. Basically, we haven't got a lot of choice. The social media is our gallery in a way, isn't it? As creatives, and I'm on what I do. I know you do this as well, Tara. I know you go on about 8, don't you? And that's when you sort of catch up with your social media stuff. And I tend to go on a bit earlier. I tend to sort of go on 5 or 6 o'clock. I'm like, right, okay, I'll have a little scroll through social media, see what's been going on. And often when I go onto TikTok, Paul will be there and he'll say, what on earth is that racket? I'm like, and I instantly, not for his sake, but for my own sake, I have to turn the volume onto really low, because 9 times out of 10 there's this terrible music which is just awful, and it's
you are sounding like a really old lady.
I do sound like an old lady, but it's because it's distracting me from what the video's about half the time, and it's so loud. I'm like, why is it so loud? It's a bit like when you go on YouTube and you watch a YouTube video, and then halfway through there'll be an advert. The advert will blast your eardrums off, and it's like, it's ridiculous. I have to mute straight away because I'm like, I can't bear it. Why can't they just keep it at the same level? And I think there's this insane thing, whereas if we put it on loud enough, it will go in. Whereas actually I think it has the opposite effect. All it does for me is it makes me want to switch off straight away. I just don't want all that racket. And it is chaos. It's very chaotic when you go onto TikTok, I find, where it's just... There's so many different things on there, and it's hard to see the wood for the trees. It's hard to actually find what it is that you want to see. Although I'm saying this the day after I've discovered how you actually find those people. From watching a tutorial, finally. I definitely suggest looking at tutorials. Maybe you need to look at tutorials, or not tutorials, but tips on how to...
I have.
How to work in a bigger scale.
Oh, big, you mean? Oh, I thought you meant how to use TikTok.
No.
Yeah. No, yeah. I have looked at some, but I mean, I think the big thing for me it probably is because, like, I've created so many at the A3 size. I'm just used to it, isn't it? So it's just...
Yeah. Also, it's the expense, do you think? Because obviously bigger things are bigger money.
But it doesn't cost that significantly more. That is the thing. I've been working on these art boards, so they're not that expensive. They're maybe, 2 or 3 quid a piece. But if I was going to work on and I was looking at these, you can get some watercolour canvases, that are all primed up. But, then I'm talking 25 quid a pop for a big one, maybe more, 30, 40, which is fine if like you, say, if I took a long time to paint one.
Yeah.
And I knew it was likely to work out, but I won't have a rate of every one works out, and I can paint them relatively quickly. So I can't have like a canvas for every time I create one, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's just too expensive.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing. Canvases are expensive. So for me to go from the size I'm working on now to the size I really want to go, it's a lot of difference. And that's the thing. You kind of need to be selling. And of course, because of the whole issue at the moment with how expensive everything is generally, and energy prices and all the rest of it, it begs the question, are people buying art as much? I don't know the answer to that, because sometimes I think the people who buy art, the people who have a lot of generally people that have a lot of money, perhaps.
Yeah.
Do you think? And so maybe to them it's not such a big deal. So maybe it doesn't affect our sales as much as we perhaps think it might. I don't know. It should certainly affect the amount we're charging in a way, because if I'm having to pay a lot more for a canvas, obviously I've got to add that onto the price of the painting.
Yeah, it's tricky, isn't it?
It is tricky. It is really tricky.
Yeah.
It's
don't know the answer.
No, it's a hard a hard time for artists.
Do you want another dilemma?
Go on then.
Okay, now I don't know if it's too specific for me, but I think a lot of people will be thinking about this in their own way. So I keep thinking, who is my art made for? And obviously it's made for me. But do you know what I mean? When you're trying to niche it down, and I think it's so easy, like I've said before, if you paint horses, it's relatively simple, isn't it? Because there are lots of groups with horse lovers in them, or horse owners. There are magazines with horse people will buy, or online magazines, but if you paint weird faces, or even still life, I would say, probably more like you, there's like, who are your people?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose from my point of view, I guess I would say that mine are more just for people. I mean, yeah, okay, if I paint a wine painting, great for a wine lover, great for a vineyard owner or whatever. Or if I was to paint food, well, maybe that's great for a cafe or a restaurant, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Still life in general. Well, I guess there's a lot of that. I always hashtag interior design on mine on Instagram, because I think, a lot of still life paintings and abstract paintings and all sorts are interesting to interior designers, because they're looking for things that would fit nicely into an environment. And yours could be one of those, I was thinking about your art the other day. I meant to say this to you. I would love, because on our Facebook group, obviously we do challenges every year, and the month we're recording this, as I say, if it goes out, is November, and we have a challenge called Posevember in November. And it's obviously figure drawing. Now, a lot of people are actually doing life drawing poses, aren't they? But we've also got Quick Kick November, which is blind contour. Am I right? It is blind contour, isn't it? Unless I'm sure
that was October.
Well, I think some people are combining certain things. So they're combining Posevember with maybe doing it blind contour drawing or something like that.
Yeah.
And some of them are so... I mean, there was one up the other day, and I can't remember that. If I knew we were going to record this and this was even going to come up, I'd have looked up the person. But somebody is doing life drawing, and blind contour and using colour as well, and there's something just so lovely about them, because they're not the typical nude. Obviously, they're not. they look really quirky because somebody's drawn it blind. So there's a boob one side of the paper and then a bum the other. So it's quite funny.
That's what I'm like. That's not a blind contour.
Oh, yeah. So, and do you know what? And I thought, God, how lovely to have a real different view of what would normally be the typical life drawing. And I was thinking, and I meant to say this to you, and it's just reminded me, I wonder what your style would be like if you had a go at not life drawing as in a nude person in front of you, but say from somewhere like, is it Croquet Cafe or New Art Academy or something like that? They're the ones that do the poses on the internet of naked people or clothed people, whatever. I wonder what your take on a life drawing would be.
Yeah, I'm not interested.
Using your style. No. How would you go about that? Oh, you're not interested? I thought you would be, see?
No, I don't. I if I was going to do a whole body, because then I wouldn't really concentrate on the face. And faces are just my thing. It would. Yeah. I would go to a life drawing class, and I would mess about maybe a blind contour or whatever, but I wouldn't want to do it in the style I'm doing.
Yeah. Just excuse that coffee machine going on in the background. Can you hear it?
It's like my printer, isn't it? Mine will probably go off next in compliment. Are you just making a coffee?
No, it's just on energy saving mode. So if I don't use it for a while, it turns itself off and goes through a whole cleaning cycle. Again, the sort of thing we avoid when we record early.
Yeah. No, so I just wouldn't. I just wouldn't want to do it. I guess it'd be like you doing, I don't know, me saying, do your live drawing, but I don't know. I suppose it's almost like what you did with the bum, but you enjoyed that.
Yeah.
You felt like you needed to do that, but I don't feel the need to do that. I don't.
No, I had all sorts of ideas of doing that a bit more, but I never did.
I'm more thinking, because I was trying to think where mine might fit as a venue. What venues? Because I was listening to another podcast the other day, and they were saying that there's I can't remember what she said. Basically, you get your art out there into the real world, not just online, is the essence of what she was saying. And I was trying to think, where would it fit? And
theatres and places where they do drag acts
it's places where you do weird stuff, more alternative. Yeah, and I was thinking almost tattoo
S&M clubs.
But they
not that I've ever even known.
But I
not that I've ever been to one of those, by the way.
I don't want to go in one. I don't know if they're quite that far.
No,
with that. But I know that not geeky people, but I know that people are into crypto have bought them, because of the NFTs.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to work out who would like them, and because around here we've got a theatre, but our theatre will be, where they have they'll have Shakespeare, or they'll have they'll have a tribute act. It's not good theatre, if you know what I mean, or it's not alternative. So
and this sounds weird, but what about in places like school toilets?
School toilets? No.
Your art is far better than that. But what I'm trying to, there's a reason I've said this, or any ladies' toilet.
School toilet?
Or dressing rooms.
Yeah, but the kids, they've got any money, have they, kids?
No, not school toilets. No, what I was getting at in a really roundabout, completely, the wrong way of coming about what I am going to say is that your art, I think, has the message I see. The message I see, if I was to create a message as a viewer, my own message for one of your paintings, it screams, be who you are, be who you want to be different, be unique, be yourself. Because they are unusual. And the one thing I wish more people got the message about is women and men who just are, they're afraid to be different. They're worried that they've got a wrinkle now, and they feel like they've got to have loads of work done on their face, and especially young people now. I mean, you see all these young people in their 20s who are having Botox or having their lips
crazy.
plumped up. And I'm like, why would you have Botox in your 20s? And what is wrong with having a normal pair of lips? It's strange, but I just see that is a massive, massive lack of confidence in people. And I don't really... I understand that people have a lack of confidence, but I wish there was a way where people didn't feel like they had to do that, where they felt that they were enough as they are, and that actually being different is actually really cool, you know. And I remember when I was young, there was this stage where everyone started having tattoos. Now, I haven't got a tattoo. I just wouldn't. I've never been the sort of person that would do something I know I can't reverse. You know, piercings are different because you can take that out. A tattoo is there forever. And I was always of the mindset, yeah, it's going to look fine now, but when I'm 70, it probably won't. And I'm glad I felt like that so young, because I've never had one, and I'm glad I haven't had one. I don't mind them on other people. I don't mind what people do. But I remember going into this pub, and it was like this, it was like a biker's pub almost. And there was a band playing. And everyone there was kind of in leathers and, you know, loads of piercings and mad hair and lovely people, lovely bunch of people, all covered in tattoos. And I remember I went into the toilet and this girl said to me, "Where are your tattoos?" I'm like, "I haven't got any." "You haven't got any tattoos?" "Really? I don't know anyone who hasn't got any tattoos." And I'm thinking it's funny because when tattoos came about, it was all about being unique. And now I think, actually, I feel more unique because I don't have one and I've never had one. So I almost feel like I'm the unique one because I don't have them, you know.
Depends on the situation, I guess.
Depends very much on the situation. And like I say, there's some amazing tattoos out there. It's just not something I've ever wanted to do, particularly myself. But when I look at your work, I think, God, it's great. It's like these can't even call them characters, but these people who are wild and creative and imaginative and different, and so I feel like your art could convey such a great message of, yeah, be unique, be you, don't conform.
Do you know what I was actually thinking about this, the new collection I'm doing, which is funny because I'm having a bit of a dilemma. Here's another dilemma for you. So I'm having the dilemma that I'm creating these paintings, but I don't want all of them in the collection because I don't like them. Yeah, so I'll end up creating loads of paintings and then narrow it down to the ones that I actually feel like, you know, I want there. But what I was thinking was I might contact or might try and find, is there a mental health charity? Because they're all going to be about this idea of these words that have killed people's confidence. Yes. So I wondered if there might be some sort of tie in there.
Definitely.
The mental health one. But I don't, almost a bit like what you're saying, I guess, there. But I still
just mental
don't know
health.
Venues.
Yeah, not just mental health, but like younger people who are... who are lacking in confidence, or who are allowing people things that they've heard to kill their confidence and stop them from doing things. That's such a vulnerable age, I think, when you're a teenager. It really is. You sort of listen to everybody apart from the people you should be.
I don't even think it has to be a teenager. I mean,
no,
mine weren't
anybody.
When I was, mine weren't necessarily when I was a teenager.
I mean,
just after, but young adult, you know.
Yeah, I mean, if we were feeling that way now, it's very easy to sort of look at other people and, oh my gosh, you know, it's a bit like this whole TikTok thing, isn't it? What I was saying earlier, do I have to wear next to nothing and have loads of Botox or something and be really trendy to be any kind or have any kind of following on TikTok? And I guess if I was rich enough to go out and have a load of stuff done, and B, if I wasn't confident now enough at 51 that you know, this is me, I'm fine. You know, it must be easy for people I think in television they do it a lot, don't they?
Yeah, definitely.
You
I
know.
think sometimes they almost feel pressured that they have to, I'd imagine, in film and TV.
Yeah, and this is why I love seeing older people on TV now. I think it's great, really older women reading the news, great, brilliant. And ones that haven't got their eyebrows, stuck to the ceiling, well, ones that are actually looking like normal, lovely, older, or rather more mature women. And I really appreciate seeing that on the telly, because I think, hang on a minute, just because you reach a certain age does not mean that you are not worthy of being looked at. Do you know what I mean? And it no more than it means just because you're over 51 or 61 or 71 that your paintings and your creations aren't worthy of being, seen out there and you showing it because you're older. It makes no difference. And I'm glad that things do seem to be changing a bit more that way, I think. But
yeah, I think there'll be a kickback against it.
But yeah, I love the idea of yours in a proper old theatre. I think they'd do well.
Yeah, it has to be basically it's something alternative, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think. But it is finding alternative type venues. I mean, you're in the right place for this, Brighton and stuff. But where I am is not exactly.
No. Brighton would be a great place.
Yeah, it's Brighton, London,
Maybe
cities,
you need to look up some hashtags which are all about being who you are. I'm trying to think, I'm thinking on the top of my head here that if you find places like, I don't know, charities or theatres, companies or people that talk about being who you are and being proud of being you and all those kind of things, find all those hashtags that go with it and add those to your paintings, and you may come across somebody who...
Yeah, maybe.
might invite the right viewers to see your painting and think, oh, actually, that would make a good... particularly the collection you're working on now.
Yeah,
hashtag, I don't know, hashtag... what could they be? Oh, you could even create your own hashtag, but obviously, yeah, look at some of those.
I did try contacting Cirque du Soleil and said, could I use one of their characters, the faces, in my art? But they said, unfortunately, we can't. We have so many requests, we can't let anybody do anything, basically.
You could hashtag Cirque du Soleil, though, couldn't you?
Yeah, I could do, but it wouldn't actually be related to them. I can't actually use one of their people, which is what I was kind of thinking. It'd be quite cool to have one of their characters, because they'd got a load of photos of people that were they were almost like drag acts.
Yeah.
It was very eccentric.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I need to look into it more.
Yeah, yeah. Can you believe we've been chatting now for over an hour?
I can. Is that a podcast episode then?
Do you know what? I'm starting to wonder whether unless you've got anything else you'd like to add.
No, I don't think I have. Have you?
Well, I'm just thinking about the fact that most of our episodes are planned and we have bullet points. We know what we're going to talk about, and then I'll go in and edit, obviously, for when we perhaps make a mistake or we say something far too rude for air. Or the dog wanders through the kitchen, or my coffee machine goes off, or your printer goes off, all of those things. And so it's a bit more polished than perhaps it would be otherwise. So I'm kind of thinking, actually, this is our first ever off the cuff. Do you know what? Before you go into this, should we just press record and see what happens? It's our first ever off the cuff episode, which we weren't planning. We have absolutely no bullet points. I had no idea what Tara was going to say. Tara, you had no idea what I was going to talk about. And maybe, apart from just editing off the bit at the beginning where I said, I don't even know if I need to do
again,
that.
You don't edit it out again.
where I might have said 3, 2, 1 record or something like that. Maybe I shouldn't edit it either. Maybe this is about, just let it be the episode and
let it be. This is like definite. People say they sit and when they're painting, sometimes they listen to us like just friends chatting while you're painting. So this was exactly that, wasn't it?
Well, it was never meant to be recorded, and it's perhaps more of a taste of the things Tara and I talk about when we're not recording podcasts. It's more a kind of thing we'll talk. This is what I find is quite often when we record podcasts in the morning, we'll go on at 8, won't we? And the intention is we record at 8 and then we'll finish, I don't know, in an hour or so, usually about an hour and a half by the time we've finished chatting. And then what happens is after that, we'll carry on and we'll chat for another hour.
Before we usually chat for half an hour before we start as well.
Yeah, and we're like, oh God, we haven't even started recording yet, and it's 8:45. Yeah. So it's kind of this is kind of a taste of the stuff we do talk about off of air, if you like, and before we record. So
maybe we'll try another one in the future. Maybe we just have a topic though, but
perhaps, because God only knows what we'll call this one.
Or we have a few topics, but we dig into that.
Yeah. Now the question is, when do we air this? I don't know. We'll have to figure that out when we've finished.
Yeah. Nobody else needs to know about that anyway. So shall we just say goodbye?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
See ya. Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed the episode, and if you did, perhaps you'd like to share it and leave a review for us on iTunes.